Welcome back to another episode of What Are We Watching?
Hey Keith, how you doing?
Hey Nick, it's Keith here.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, you got your hockey hoodie on. Nice.
Yeah, I got my little hockey hoodie on. Keith did the little intro. We're changing up today.
Did it sound good? Did it sound bad?
It sounded. I think given the circumstances, it sounded as good as it could. No, it sounded delightful. I think.
Is that gonna? No, we'll scratch that. You'll just redo it.
I want to keep that. Do you think we should have my dog do it so she's like on the mic? No, she's asleep. She hates everything.
This is when we should do it because she's asleep at this time.
Yeah, that's true. See, we just ditch work.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I'm not coming in.
Be like, yeah, I'm sick or whatever.
Or I could just be like, no, I'm not even sick. I'm
I'm not even sick.
Like, I can't breathe, but I'm not sick. Like, you don't understand. Like, I'm not sick. I'm just congested.
So
Congested
I know
with
people couldn't
what?
see that, but Keith's eyes were closed when he
I'm
said
just congested. No, you're like the fucking what's that commercial? The NyQuil commercial.
Oh yeah.
Okay, get a good night's sleep.
Those commercials are wild. It's
good,
basically
man.
like they're like, oh, you can't sleep. We're gonna drug you.
Yeah,
You're like, whoa.
oh, you're not gonna You're not gonna
Like,
remember
you're
you
not gonna-
slept.
It's gonna be your last sleep.
The only time I ever
partner.
really took NyQuil was in college, and I had like
Yeah.
one of those like I was finally sick, like as
Yeah.
an adult, and I was like, oh man, this really sucks.
Being sick as an adult.
Mom's not here to give me my
chicken
Vicks
doodle.
my Vicks vapor rub and my chicken noodle.
And
Were
then
you
I
a
was-
vapor rub guy? A Vicks vapor rub guy?
I was a Vicks vapor rub in the pot of water over the stove. Put the
and
towel
then you
over your
put the
head.
towel over your
My
head?
mom set me up with that in high school. Whew.
Madon.
Yeah.
You ever see that movie Crocodile Dundee?
Yeah.
Remember when the guy's doing cocaine in the back,
Mm.
and he's like, "No, that's not how you do it." And then he puts it in a pot of hot water with a towel over his head because he thinks he's got like sinus problems.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, I don't think anyone needed to remember that.
Yeah,
but
that's cool that you remembered that.
no, it's really not.
But
But yeah, dude, being sick as an adult sucks, doesn't it?
yeah. So what I was
Because you
saying,
want to be mad. You're like, I can't even miss any. Like, I can't miss school.
you're like, oh, now I
'Cause I
got to
graduated 10
I
years
gotta
ago.
take frickin' PTO.
Yeah, dude, I only get 2 weeks a year to go to the shore. And now
God
it's
damn
foil.
it, I'm all stuffed up. But yeah, so the one time I took it in college, I took it at night, like responsible, and dude, I slept through like all of my classes. Not even like my alarms were blaring. Probably,
Yeah, you
I
were
didn't
just
even wake
in
up
another
once.
dimension.
I woke up at like 2 in the afternoon, so I probably slept like 14 hours, and I woke
I
up and I
feel
was
like
just
I feel terrible when I wake up. If I take like any like Tylenol PM,
Yeah, nope.
anything, I wake up and I feel like a pile of trash.
I can't even mess with melatonin, even though it's
Yeah,
supposed to
no,
help
I don't.
fix your sleep schedule. Like I will be
I'm
useless the next
I'm
day.
done. But I think, do you fall asleep right away? I hit the pill and I'm dead.
No.
I go into a spiral in another dimension. I sleep better than a dead rock on occasion.
A dead rock. So
Dead
explain to me
rock.
what that is.
So a normal rock is very lively.
Like coral?
Could be. I don't know. I've been saying dead rock for a while.
Okay.
For years.
Yeah, I was just making sure I understood.
I don't think I fully get it, but
Nah, that's cool.
that's just where it is. So how about Keith? What have you been watching?
Well, are we going to talk about what we're watching today?
Oh yeah, we've been forgetting to do that. So we watched National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Christmas Vacation.
Boom, boom, boom.
Doom, boom,
Oh, I thought we were gonna.
Yeah, we were. I don't know what we're doing there.
We don't rehearse.
Nah, we don't.
often.
It's all live. We do it live.
It's as raw as it gets, people.
Well, the reason I asked that is because I watched Christmas movies that were not this movie. Well,
Oh, okay.
they're not. They're like horror movies. Have you ever seen Silent Night, Deadly Night?
No, I've not.
Okay, so I watched that a few days ago, and then last night, right before I rewatched Christmas Vacation, we watched
Such a classic.
my buddies and I watched Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2.
The Revenge of Santa Claus.
Yeah, so
I don't know.
are
if
you
that's
familiar with the premise of Silent Night, Deadly Night?
No, I'm not. I haven't
Okay,
had the
so-
privilege.
Basically, it's these two. It's like these two kids. They're with their family. It's kind of the opening sequence is kind of like when they're driving the car at the beginning of this movie.
Yeah.
But instead, they stop to help a Santa Claus who's actually bad, and he's already held up a like a convenience store and killed this attendant for $31.
Damn.
And then
That's
he
specific.
just kills both his parents in front of him, and then
Sick.
he has to get put into a kid's home, and then he then as an adult becomes a killer in a Santa suit and starts wrecking everybody. And then
starts just
the second one
havoc,
is
is he out?
He meets his timely demise in part 1, and then the second one is his younger brother retelling the whole story from part 1 in flashbacks, which were just clips of the first movie, and then
That's really
it picks
wild.
up where he tells what he's done, and he's in a psych ward pretty much the whole time until he gets out. Yeah,
That sounds like a terrible movie.
Nah, it's good.
Okay.
Yeah, they're fun. They're fun holiday slashers.
But we did the slasher thing. Are you not burnt out from our Halloween festivities?
Oh yeah, dude. I'm back to watching horror movies like
Nice.
here and there, not
all the time. You know what I wanted to watch. I recommended Black Christmas to Eric the other day.
The first one.
Yeah,
yeah.
Because he was like, I want to like some Christmas movies or like Christmas themed movies.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's a good one.
Black Christmas is a horror movie, but it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah,
he was like, oh yeah, I'll watch that.
It'll make you feel good. That's a good recommendation. He'll leave like all questions answered.
Yeah, dude, he's gonna be chilling.
That movie's awesome. The
him
first
and his
one.
wife are gonna be shook.
So the 1974 Black Christmas is epic. I think it's really good because it actually does what it should do and it gives you no answers. A bunch of bad things happen and then you're just left to.
It's like, all right,
like I couldn't imagine seeing that in the theater in the 70s.
Yeah,
and then just going
like,
home
what the fuck
and
was that dog shit?
like not knowing, like he's like, I'm not gonna be able to sleep forever because there's no resolution.
Be like, this is sick. I'm gonna just quit my job.
Oh, cool.
now,
So you never found out who the killer was? He's just loose. You never found out anything? Sweet.
Spoiler, but the movie's been out for 40 years. So, 40 years, 50 years.
Yeah.
50 years.
It'll be like 50 years next year.
Okay.
And like, in just about a month. But I will say the remake I thought was okay. The 2006 remake was pretty up. It's a fun little brutal one. Anyways,
I told him the original one.
Yeah, the original. I would start with the original because you got Olivia Hussey in it as your
leading lady.
Maybe your first final girl. You know what I mean?
I don't know. Hot take. Anyway, did you watch anything else? Any actual holiday movies?
Oh no. I watched holiday movies. I've watched so far is Christmas Vacation,
and that's the end of the list.
Yeah, I mean I'll be watching more of them, but that's what I watched so far. Did I watch anything else? I watched this awesome movie called The Raid. Have you seen that?
The Raid. Ugh, I feel like that sounds familiar.
2011 Indonesian martial arts epic movie.
Let me look this up. The Raid.
I've had it on my list for a while. It's something that, like, if you like martial arts action movies, most people might have seen it.
The Raid Redemption?
Yeah.
This cover looks familiar.
It's on Netflix.
I don't know. Maybe that's why it looks familiar, because I just scrolled past it on Netflix.
It is just front to back all insane martial arts and brutal killings. The whole movie. Like, when I say the whole movie, like, if you think of John Wick and you just trim out dialogue, his relationship with his dog, if you just trim out, like, all of the things that make a movie
just
a
leave
movie,
that's
that. It's so awesome. And they basically it's like these rogue cops that go into an apartment complex owned by like a drug lord.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're taking him out.
And they just clean house.
So they think, and it's like really silent. Like,
so it's like that movie We Bought a Zoo.
I think so.
I'm just trying.
But it's basically they walk in
at all.
And they're like, it's like kind of quiet, and they're like, all right, we'll take the floor by floor. And like, so the first couple levels are easy, and then all of a sudden, it's like, honestly, it reminds me of like a video game. Like the first couple dungeons, you're like,
oh, I got this in a bag.
And then you get to like dungeon 4, and you're like, yo, I forgot to get my armor. And then all of a sudden, they were getting railroaded.
Yeah, and that sounds like a real.
And then it just turns into this like insane. It's so cool.
That's fun.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you've just been still scaring yourself.
No, it's not a scary movie. That's like just like a.
You've been
throttled.
So there's been no joy in your movies that you've watched.
It's not like, we bought our local Christmas village farm.
Sorry, I didn't watch the Christmas Carol animated with Nicolas Cage, which I am watching this week.
Okay, pal.
Have you seen that one?
No.
The animated one where he voices. I think he voices Scrooge. I'm pretty sure.
It's like, I'm gonna steal the Declaration of
I
Christmas.
can't remember. I'm not gonna look it up. I'm just gonna go with that. I've seen it as a wee lad.
As a wee lad.
Yeah, but I also didn't really. Well, I did like Nicolas Cage back then, but I didn't.
Not like you do now.
I like him now.
Yeah, that's wild. I didn't watch. I don't think I watched anything too crazy. We watched. There's a Christmas movie. Oh boy, Four Christmases. Have you ever seen that one?
Vince Vaughn,
Reese Witherspoon.
Reese with, yeah.
Reese with and Reese without.
Yeah, can I get the Reese without?
It's like a cheesesteak. Yeah, let me get the Whiz Wit. Let me get the Reese Wit.
Speaking of Reese Wit,
dumb as shit.
have you seen? I think it might be her first movie. Have you ever seen the movie Freeway?
Freeway. Isn't that a horror movie?
It falls into the category. It's her and
not.
Kiefer Sutherland. He's the freeway killer.
No.
And she's I don't know how to describe it. She's a wild child. It's literally insane. I would call it like an exploitation kind of movie.
Oh, that sounds like a real fun time for the holidays.
It's just like okay, it's not a Holly movie. I'm sorry. For people that have actual hearts and joy in their lives, I'm sorry. I like to like when I find a movie that like a big actor or actress is in, and it's like it's like one of their first movies, and it's just a wild movie.
It's pretty fun. I mean,
like the time I saw Paul Walker, rest in peace, and Denise Richards in Tammy and the T-Rex.
Yeah,
insane that they're in that. Like, you know what I mean? It's just cool when you watch something completely outrageous that they're in.
But that is like a fun thing if you do like movies, like any of these big actors. Watch people's first movies that they were ever in.
Like I was watching. Have you ever heard of School Ties?
No.
So it's very young. I think it's probably all their first real movie. Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, and Brendan Fraser.
Was it 92?
Sounds right.
Yeah,
That's
Chris O'Donnell's in that.
Chris O'Donnell too. Yeah.
Wild.
He would be in Son of a Woman, and then he would be obviously Robin and Batman and Robin.
Oh yeah, dude. Big time.
Yeah, big time, big actor. But yeah, like I just love watching like early movies of people.
Yeah,
like, I did that with Nicolas Cage. Obviously, I'll do that with Wachin. With Seymour Hoffman. All right, anyways, let's get into this shit. I'm sorry, man.
That's fine.
Your devout listeners are like, oh, get this psycho out of here.
This guy in a friggin'
like I know Nick thinks he owes something to this guy.
Be like, look, I don't know
buddy,
what.
Here's your baseball cap.
I don't know what kind of life-changing fender bender they got into before they started this, but he doesn't owe him anything.
Every time Emily reminds him, it's like, yo, you don't owe him anything else.
And I'm like, he's such a good kid, though.
He looks me. He gives me that wink that he knows that I know that he knows.
He knows that I know. You know, like if he goes down, he's like, I'm fucking.
He knows all my freaking secrets. That freaking body under the floorboards, he knows about it.
Yeah, dude, you can't just forget that bond.
He helped me do it. Just so anyone listening, there was no crime committed.
There's no crime. It's all a bit.
Hey, back to selling raincoats. Out of my
gotta get $5.
All right.
So seriously.
This is where we start the episode. All right, so scrap all that other stuff.
Yeah. Stop.
No, you stop. You stop first.
You stop first.
No, you quit it.
All right.
Mom said. All right, so we are talking.
Wait, real quick.
Oh, son of a.
I think so. We were talking about this the other day. I think I was like, oh yeah, Key's gonna come over and record. And she was like, yeah, that's fine. I was like, okay, cool. I just like didn't want to get in trouble or whatever. And that's been my new bit of like every time I do something, I'm just like, oh, I just didn't want to get in trouble.
Should I apply that to my household?
It's been really funny, but Emily doesn't think it's funny. Oh, I think it's funny 100% of the time.
I think that's why it's even funnier. It's like Pooper Kebab. Like nobody else thinks that's funny, but it's only funny because nobody else thinks it's funny.
And then to build on that, occasionally I've been raising my hand when I want to ask Emily something. You just sit there and she's like, what? I'm like, I didn't want to get in trouble, but oh God, that's what it's all about. Annoying the people you love.
Yeah. I mean, that's all.
Which is a great segue into this movie, actually.
Yeah.
All right. Grimace Vacation.
Grimace?
Christmas Vacation. This was out in 1989.
Holy shit. I was 1 year old, dude.
Dude, what a
frick, you know what I am now.
Yeah, dude, your credit is done for.
Like, oh yeah, Nick, he's like, he's in his 20s. He's still got his life ahead of him. Oh, that guy, that kid he does the podcast with
he does it with?
He's an adult?
What's his mom's maiden name?
Holy shit. Okay, cool.
So this was 1989. This was written by Mr. Jonathan Hughes.
Yeah,
it's based on a short story called, I had the name, I forgot. Christmas 59. So it was a short story that was picked up, and they basically wanted him to make a movie out of it.
Yeah, we do a lot of John Hughes, huh?
We do. Turns out he's just a great movie maker.
I mean, I always knew he's one of the best, but just the fact that we keep circling back those movies without intentionally doing that, like it's not where we're like, oh, John Hughes month.
There have been a couple that we've been like, oh, let's watch this one, and then it was like story originally by John Hughes.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh shit, that's pretty wild. But basically, this is centers around So it was originally published in National Lampoon, the magazine. It was published in 1980, and it tells the story of Clark Griswold, the main father figure, and his efforts to have a good old fashioned family Christmas, and it just goes awry. Is essentially the tagline. So the budget for this movie was $25 million, and the box office it made $73.3 million. That's pretty good. I did see that this was directed by Jeremiah S. Chechik.
Let's go with that. I saw that too.
Chesick? It's probably. I think it's Chesick. There was apparently supposed to be someone else who was going to direct this. Chris Columbus was supposed to direct this, but he got into a fight with Chevy Chase, and so he was like, "I'm out. I'm not working with him." Do you know what he would go on to direct though?
He did other John Hughes stuff.
Home Alone.
Yeah, he did that John Hughes. He
did
Home Alone
1 and 2.
1 and 2. And
yeah.
So John Hughes wrote them and he directed them, right?
Yeah. So basically, John Hughes was like, "I'm sorry, this didn't work out. I have another movie that I can give you," and it was Home Alone, which is just like insane. That he was like, "Oh, I have this back pocket movie that I'm not doing."
He's like, "What do you think about a cold Chicago Christmas movie?"
It's never been done before.
He's
I
like,
know he just made 9 of them.
He's like, "I'm just gonna do another one."
Yeah, dude. Obviously. Did you have any notes? Oh, did you want to go? Do you want to walk us through the cast of this one?
Yeah, sure. All right. So you got as Clark, Sparky Griswold. I like how they put his nickname in here. You got Chevy Chase, who, as we covered in Caddyshack, is probably one of the funniest people. I don't know if he's funny now.
No, he's kind of a dick now.
I think he sucks now, but he's hilarious.
In his heyday,
and I will say
unmatched.
his little cameo in the Vacation remake, that movie destroys me.
Yeah, that movie is, if anyone out there who likes any of these movies, joke for joke, that's one of the funniest movies in the last like 20 years.
I get him, and like I know that probably ruins our credibility. We'll probably lose some listeners because
I will stand by that.
Probably one of the worst movies ever. I'm telling you, I cry every time I watch it, and not
if
because
you like
it's sad.
Dumb humor, this is that movie's for you.
Yeah, so so we'll go over who plays in this movie. So Beverly D'Angelo is his wife Ellen, and she's perfect in this movie. Them two together. So those are your main. That's the household parentals, and then the kids are Juliette Lewis, a young Juliette Lewis. And I love her in Natural Born Killers. I feel like I just have a dark mind because every time I'm like, oh yeah, we're talking about something good. I'm like, yo, Natural Born Killers, yo, the Oliver Stone classic.
Like, yo, how cool would it be if
Sizemore and Harrelson? Yeah, that movie rocks,
dude.
It is honestly awesome. I love that movie. But anyways, and then a very young Johnny Galecki as Rusty. That's your fatal foursome.
Your nuclear family.
Yeah, nuclear family. I couldn't think of the word.
So this one, I feel like this is probably a common theme, but I only watched this one. Like, this was the only vacation movie that I watched for a very long time growing up. But all these characters are like these, like how his nickname is like Sparky and stuff like that. There's other vacation movies where a lot of that is explained. But originally, I think the kids, their characters are different in like all of them, basically. Yeah. In the original Vacation, which was like the first movie in this whole series, that was portrayed by Anthony Michael Hall.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of cool.
And he's awesome. Even in
I think he is the better Russ.
He has more character. They give him more to do because in this movie he's basically his dad's little gopher.
Yeah.
And he's just like, "Oh, okay, Dad.
Yeah.
Sure, Dad. Good talk,
like,
Dad."
Oh, jeez, I gotta go.
Yeah, Anthony Michael is definitely better. That's a good actor, and even as an older actor, he's good. I will say they gave him that turd Halloween remake to do as the grown up Tommy Doyle, where he's like gets the baseball bat, he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna fuck him up," and then you're like, "Dude, this is the stupidest thing I ever seen." But anyways, other than that, even as an adult,
he is really good. We love to see it.
And then what do you have? Let's see who else you have here. You have Diane Ladd as Clark's mother.
Randy Quaid.
Okay, yeah. See, they did this in a weird order because Randy Quaid should be next build to me.
Yeah,
I think he is next build
because
he's Cousin Eddie, and he is demonic in this movie.
He's wild. So his character in this movie, did you ever, I mean, you've seen Independence Day, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
So Randy Quaid plays the main guy, or the guy in Independence Day who's like, I was abducted by aliens, and then the aliens come and everyone's like, shit, he was right. I think it's like the same exact character.
Pretty much. He's like
plate
in his head.
He's kind of wild.
He has a chunk of government plastic in his head.
Yeah. He's like, every time she turned on the microwave, I'd piss myself.
And then William Hickey is Uncle Lewis.
Yeah.
He's a bigger name. And
yeah.
This is the role that I always think of. No matter what I see him in, I'm always like, oh yeah, it's Uncle Lewis.
No, I see him as Johnny Bird from Michael of Heaven. You dirty rat. I can't not see that.
But then you have Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Nicholas Guest as the new wave neighbors.
Yeah,
Margot,
new wave neighbors.
Margot and Todd. Yeah. They have like their little CD player.
Yeah.
And Brian Doyle Murphy, Bill Murphy's brother, is Frank Shirley, his boss. There's other people in here, but I think those are the. Oh, and then
so Brian Doyle Murray is what's his name's brother? What? Oh my God!
I just said Bill Murray.
Oh, I didn't know you said that.
Didn't I say that?
No.
Are you just not. You don't hear it. You don't have me in your headphones. Okay.
No.
No, and then Doris Roberts from Everybody Loves Raymond. She's
Oh, she plays Ellen's mom.
Mother. Yeah.
Yeah. Ellen's parents in this movie are hilarious.
Dude, they're so mean to Clark.
Yeah, it's really the worst.
And then Clark's parents are like two actual angels.
Yeah. He's like, I can picture it now, Clark.
He's like, gee, thanks, Mom.
Yeah. You taught me everything I know about exterior illumination. It's such a good line.
Oh, okay. So I think that covers it.
I think so too.
Yeah, Anthony Michael Hall is, and then Ethan Embry is actually Rusty in Vegas Vacation.
Oh, Vegas Vacation. Yeah,
Ethan Embry kicks ass, dude.
They did Vegas Vacation. So they did Vacation, Christmas Vacation.
Well, there's European before Christmas.
European Vacation, Christmas Vacation, and then Vegas Vacation.
Vegas is okay.
It's fun.
As a kid, it was fun, but I tried to rewatch it, and I was like, it's okay.
Yeah, it doesn't really hold.
And then the remake Vacation, I'm telling you right now, I don't know what it does. Ed Helm plays a grown-up Rusty.
Yeah, he's basically in that one. He's trying to recreate the trip to Wally World that they took in the first one.
But
it equally goes awry.
I would say, as far as trip planning goes, I pretty much do the same thing he does. Like, I got this figured out, and then I'm
be like, it's gonna be fine.
And then
I think that's just a common theme through dudes trying to pull things together.
If she was in charge of the planning, it would have been probably very expensive, but it would have been figured out, and it would have been an awesome trip. Mine's and not that my trip was cheaper. It's just that I don't know. I guess I have a different Google.
Yeah. Perfect example from my real life where I relate to that. Emily and I we're staying out of town this weekend, and she was like, "Oh, what time's the hotel check-in?" And I was like, "I don't know, probably 3." It's 5 p.m. It's the check-in time.
Where did you go? You go to
I'm not gonna say where it is.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, my bad. I didn't mean tell me exactly where you went. I'm just imagining did you go to a midnight hotel? It's
no.
It's like a party hotel. No, not like that.
I just okay, we're going to that kind of trip.
No, yeah, dude, we're party because checking in at 5 like that. I feel is
it's a little later. But which I was like, I don't know, hotels check in at 2 or 3, dude. What do you want from me?
Yeah, usually it's 3.
Yeah,
that's
so
a standard.
I don't know. But I relate.
It's usually
to
check out 11, check in at 3.
I'm like, I got the room. That's all that matters.
It's
we'll figure it out.
All these maids, they're gonna get all that work done in 4 hours.
There's
400 rooms here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
And there's a half a pillow on the bed.
Yeah, and don't worry, this guy threw up in his pillowcase.
We just wrapped this guy's dead body in the sheet that we're putting back on the bed. But anyway, yeah. So they actually did, which is pretty cool. In near us this past weekend, they did a Christmas Vacation reunion it was like the Christmas festival or the Christmas Expo. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that.
It was so they did so we went to the Monster Mania Con. Yeah. We have an expo center near us. This was in Jersey. Chevy Chase, Beverly D'Angelo, and Dennis Quaid or Randy Quaid were all together again, and they did a panel on Christmas Vacation.
So we did the same exact thing when we did a Bronx Tale. We just missed Chaz live, down the street.
Oh, I actually knew about this one that it was. Oh,
you just didn't want to tell me.
Chevy Chase. It was $250 to meet him. And I was like, the line's going to be so long, and I really don't want to drive a couple hours to go like see him in the
Was it
distance.
Cherry Hill or where was it?
I honestly can't remember where it was.
That's fine.
But yeah, it was just like
I would have liked to go see that, but it's okay.
And people said that he was a dick to everyone.
Oh, I didn't want to meet him. The panel would have. Actually, you know what? Fuck it. I don't want to see it.
Yeah. So how about that? All right. Should we get into the plot?
Yeah. Somehow we're still not there yet, but we'll get there.
I know we've been recording for like almost a half hour.
Oh, cool. So everybody's like, yeah, they gave us another week full of bullshit.
Another stinker. Anyway, so the Chicago area resident Clark Griswold intends to have a great Christmas with his entire family. The movie opens with him driving his family out to go get what he would call the Griswold family Christmas tree. They're driving basically out in the middle of nowhere to cut down a tree. And there's a lot of really funny dialogue that really sets the scene for, I think right away they set up the family dynamic. So Clark is singing. His wife is being supportive, playing backup, and their kids want to die.
Mark, yeah. Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah, the kids are just like, oh, Dad.
Like, Dad, you gotta stop. And so basically driving along, very early on, they run into a scuffle with, I would say, another truck driver. Clark is, I think, like supposed to be typical dad. Like, no, I'm not gonna let this guy beat me on the road. Like, screw you.
But he's driving this
awesome. It's like a Vista Cruiser station wagon. Like,
the thing tops out at 54 miles an hour.
yeah, that thing is tough.
But you can feel how instantly you can somehow he makes it so you can feel how cold it is where they are. First of all,
yeah,
just leading into this first scene, you can. When I watch it, I'm like, damn,
it is a cold movie.
Yeah,
the whole movie is very chilly, and so they are feuding with this truck driver, and a series of unfortunate events. They go under a semi truck and the station wagon. Clark's trying to like beat this truck, and then eventually they pull off. Clark believes that he beat this dirty pickup truck, and he's like, "Yeah, that's right." And then there's a plow, and he jumps off of a snowbank. And within the first 5 minutes, there's an airborne vehicle, which I think is just incredible for this movie.
And then this has some awesome quotes.
Yeah.
The hey kids, look a deer.
Yeah,
I do that all the time. Hey kids, look at. So as they're feuding with this truck.
Yeah,
and
Beverly is like, and the wife is like, Clark, just leave it alone. Like, don't antagonize him.
He's like, yeah, okay, for sure.
He's
like, hey kids, look at deer. So they look out the other window and he just flips them off. I do that all the time.
Yeah.
Hey kids, look at deer. And I love that.
Yeah.
And then what does he say? He's like, I'm eat my dust and burn my dust and eat my rubber.
Eat my rubber.
And then
he's like, Dad, it's eat my dust.
He's like, yeah, sure, Russ.
Yeah, sure, Russ.
And then he goes right, and I reference this all the time. I was like, yeah, I hope I get trapped under an 18-wheeler, because that's exactly what happens. He thinks he's there's the truck that he's racing, and there's also the 18-wheeler that's in the other lane, and he just veers straight under
it.
The 18-wheeler. He's like under it. He's like,
Well, his what's her name? Ellen, his wife, has a really good line. She's like, Clark, I don't want to spend my holidays dead. Which is awesome.
But yeah, so he quickly veers out of that, hits the
snowbank,
and flies straight through the sign for the
they land like at a pick your own, like the tree place that they were landing, and or that they were like trying to drive to. But there's a great scene. So they like crash land, skid into a parking spot. All the kids are like trying to get up, and he goes, "Hey, we made pretty good time." Like, I just love how aggressively unbothered Clark is, and he's just like, whatever, it's fun.
And I also love that they're doing a pick your own tree rather than they could have gone to any lot and gotten just a fine tree that's already been cut down. But they're like,
but he's like,
this
no,
is the Griswold family tradition. Yeah.
So they're walking all the way out. They're walking very, very far away from the parking lot to essentially find the perfect
they're in like
tree.
waist high snow.
Yeah, it's great. So they pull up. Clark walks up to a tree that is comically big. And basically, he's like, "This is it, guys. The Griswold family Christmas."
And you hear
tree.
the oh,
yeah, there's like lights that come down on it. But and then so he's sitting there and he's giving like a little speech about like the importance of a Christmas tree and stuff like that. And his kids are like freezing. And there's a line that is the daughter goes, I can't feel anything from my waist down. And the wife goes, Clark, your daughter's frozen from the waist down. He goes, it's all part of the experience, honey.
And you look at, she has icicles on her eyelids.
Yeah. She's like, she can't talk. She's frozen. And then you instantly find out after spending this whole day trying to find this tree that Clark forgot his saw.
Because Russ says it, right? He's like, Dad, did you bring your saw? And he's like, and you hear the dong.
Which is classic John
I love
Hughes.
the timpani, like, dong.
Yeah. So the next scene, so they did forget a saw. The next scene is all the roots are still attached to the tree, and it's basically blocking all of their view in this little station.
And later on, he says, I dug out this tree. I'm like, what?
With what?
With your bare hands? What are you, a bear?
Yeah, insane.
But I also like that. There's some very unrealistic things that happen in little details that are just like unbelievable in this movie.
Yeah.
That make it so much funnier.
I think the one...
Like when they bring the tree home, it's insane inside. Like it's not even possible. Yeah. But
the line... Do you have the line that Russ says about how big the tree is?
No.
He's like, Dad, isn't that tree a little big? He's like, that thing wouldn't even fit in our yard. And he's like,
it's not
good, Russ. It's not going in our living room. just like, yeah, I love that.
But when you look, it's like it's blowing through the ceiling.
Yeah,
like if you look at it, it doesn't make any sense. It's going
the
up.
The tree is bent.
Oh, is it bent?
Yeah.
I see. I always thought it was like somehow blowing through the ceiling. Like
no, it's just like it's just all like
yeah. It doesn't make any sense, but it's so funny.
It's just insane. So they bring the tree home, and this is where you meet they're described as their yuppie neighbors, Todd and Margot Chester. So you can tell that like Clark he's just like a normal family guy, and these are like two like what do you call them? New wave?
The new wave neighbors.
The new wave neighbors. So they're like, like look at this asshole bringing home this huge tree, and they're like, hey Clark, I don't think that like where do you think you're gonna fit a tree that big? And I say this a lot. He goes, bend over and I'll show you.
He's like, you have some nerve talking like that. He's like, I wasn't talking to you.
And he's basically like looking at his wife. She's like, it's such a legendary just quote. So they bring the tree inside, and he sets it up, and there's just some great like he's trying to make poor Clark. He's trying to make every little part of this experience like, this is our tradition now. Like. This is our new thing. So he brings the tree inside, and he's like, yep, it's going to look great. Like, let me just undo he has it like all tied up. He cuts the rope, and the tree just is comically overwhelming.
Yeah, it blows out the window.
Blows out the window. And Clark is inside of the tree, and he's like, a little full, a lot of sap. He's like, looks great.
And then the next scene is them in bed. And he's trying to flip through this fucking magazine. I forgot people used to read magazines in bed.
Yeah.
At least in movies they did. I don't know if people did in real life. But he's flipping through, and it's every page is getting stuck. So his wife is just helping him very badly.
Try and like pull all the things off. So they get a phone call, and basically you find out while they're in bed, they end up talking about it, that both of their parents are coming to town, and their aunt and uncle. So basically like, they're gearing up for a pretty big Christmas. Oh, yeah. So she doesn't really want to have it, but Clark is insistent that like, no, like I want to have Christmas here. I want to host my own big like family Christmas, basically. There's a really great line. They're laying in bed, and he's like, this is going to be perfect. Like I'm going to make this is going to be great. And she goes, well, you have a tendency to kind of overdo things. And he's like, name one time. She's like, well, and then goes to like
weddings,
list like 5 things.
Parties, weddings,
parties, you know. And he's like, good night, honey. Turns off.
Yeah, but then he also reaches over, gets his hand caught in her hair, then his other hand caught on the lamp.
Yeah, and just pulls the lamp right on because he's got all the sap.
That's what I mean. That's another like completely like I was like, what's he gonna do now?
Oh, I don't know how
the scene ends. It's funny.
Yeah, it is really funny. So it's the next day, and Clark and Ellen's parents both arrive for Christmas. They are like they're arguing with each other. It's just starting to annoy everyone.
Oh
like
my
2
God.
seconds in, they're already done with it. Yeah.
Clark, I have this mole here.
Is
it changing colors? I don't know. It looks like it's red because you keep touching it.
Because you keep touching it. But there's like stuff like that. That is so funny to me. Like those little details, because it's like you haven't seen each other in how long, and you're just worried about a mole on your neck.
And my favorite line of the grandparents at the beginning though is I forget what the exact line, but she's like, "Hey Russ, why don't you come over here and rub my feet? I'll give you a whole quarter." And
He's like, "Oh
"A
wow,
whole quarter."
quarter." Yeah, it's wild. But Clark is maintaining his positive attitude and basically is like, "Nope, we're still going through with this." It's now I think this is the beginning of some of my favorite scenes is when he starts to put the lights up outside.
Oh, dude.
So he has this whole thing. He wants to put up his lights. He's always wanted to do this big light, show. And it starts with him pulling out the ladder, climbing up, and the ladder collapses with him on it. And he slides all the way down. So he basically has no business being on a ladder. Is really the moral of the story.
It's a miracle he gets this done.
Yeah, it's insane. He has the ladder like falls backwards and he hits a tree and then pushes it back forward to try and get it. It's just a whole series of unfortunate events.
Because he staples his sleeve to the to the gutter, and as he tries to rip it free, he pulls his whole sleeve off. But then just the whole ladder tips into the tree.
His neighbors, Todd and Margot, they're like, with any luck, he'll break his neck.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, I'm sure he'll fall, but we won't be lucky enough for him to break his neck.
That's wild. So he covers the whole house in it. He's basically spending the entire day doing it. It's at night, and he is now ready to show off his creation to the world.
Drum roll, please. Everyone, dude. When I was watching that again, all these little things.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't know if anyone in this family knows what a drum roll sounds like. Maybe one of them does because you hear the, but everyone else is like,
oh yeah, no one knows what the fuck.
Like blowing their like.
It's so stupid. No one knows what's going on.
Joy to the world.
Like poor Clay, he's literally trying to make a spectacle out of everything. Oh, there's a scene that I wanted to talk about, which this was always something like this was my job growing up. My dad always puts like the big lights on our house. When he hands him the giant ball, he hands Russ the giant ball. He's like, hey, he's a little bit of a knot. Why don't you see if you can work on that for me?
He looks at it. He's like, and again, you can tell how cold it is at the scene. You're like, dude, I have to do my own outdoor whatever here where we live, and it's nowhere as cold as that.
No, it is
and
frigid.
I'm just like,
there's snow on the ground. I don't think I've ever put up lights with snow on the ground.
It's 10 a.m. there, and he's got an entire day to be outside. His hands are frozen already.
He's done for. Yeah,
like,
and his little Bears hat.
He's like, Dad, I'm 9.
So anyway, so the power is unfortunately, out. Or did we get to that part yet? Where are we talking about? Oh, the lights. So he goes to plug in the lights and they don't turn on. So he's fiddling with it. He doesn't really know what's going on. They basically won't turn on. After a couple of bumbling around scenes, you realize that he just didn't turn the light switch on in the garage where it was plugged in, which I think he has no less than 50 strands of lights plugged into one outlet with a series of like connectors and stuff, which just makes me. That's just so funny. He causes like a power shortage in the city. Remember that? When it finally comes on, there's like sirens going off.
Like,
and it's just so good.
So with his mother, is it his mother that goes out to check something in the garage? Yeah. She flips the light switch on, everything turns on. He's like, because before everyone's outside waiting in the cold and
nothing happens.
Ellen's parents are like being so mean to him. And when he does the first plug in and nothing happens, and she does that weird like alcohol burp. She goes, she's drinking her little martini, and she's like, she's like, she's like, I hope you enjoyed pissing your money away. Kids, like, she's like, kids, I want you to see how much of a waste of resources this is. And I'm like,
you're like, God,
she's fucking mean.
They're the worst.
And then his parents are like, his mom's like, or is it his mom or his dad?
His dad's like, I can see it now, Clarky. It looks beautiful. He's like, if I were you, I would check each individual light bulb.
Yeah, I did that, Dad.
So then they finally get it on. He calls out everybody, and this is where he says the great line that I mentioned earlier. When his dad's like, "Oh, it's a beaut." Like now they're actually seeing it, and he goes, "Oh, thanks, Dad. You taught me everything I know about exterior illumination." And he's tough because then when the lights all come on and he has everyone out there, he tries to have like a really sentimental moment with each of them. Like he's like, "Oh, and my mother-in-law, Mom." Like it's so nice. And then they're just like, "Okay,
cool."
All
right, we're going back to bed. Bad. It's freezing. But I do like before it all goes right, it goes wrong, and his dad says, if you need me, I'll be upstairs asleep. And then Russ, he says, Russ, and he's like, oh, gee, Dad, I gotta go upstairs. I gotta feed my fish.
He's like,
some
Russ,
homework.
You want to give me a hand? Yeah. That's wild. That's so stupid. Because I feel like I was Russ as a kid. I think that's why it's funny.
Oh yeah, no kid wanted to be out there.
No. So anyway, now it is the next day.
Well, this is at this night. You also he's going down the line saying hi to everybody.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden, cousin Eddie sneaks in. He's like, cousin.
He's like, Eddie, cousin. It's so nice of you to be here,
Catherine. And he looks back. He's like, Eddie.
Yeah.
So they pull up in their RV at this point.
Yeah.
With the kids and Snots the dog.
Yeah, and you find out that they stay for a month. Yeah. They're staying for an entire month.
He just drops that in there casually, like, when we get out of here next month.
Yeah, it's so good. But again, Clark is still trying to keep morale high, and so he's like, you know what, it is what it is. But their dog Snot is really wild. So they pull up in an RV that Eddie would later admit that they are actually living in. He basically went broke. Had to sell everything, and so they basically pulled up to Clark's house, and that's kind of it. So Clark ends up now, he's being roped into buying gifts for Eddie's kids so that they have like an actual nice Christmas. And so a theme that I actually didn't mention this at the beginning of this movie, Clark is in his office and he's waiting for a bonus check. So you find out that separately his family doesn't know is that he put a huge deposit down for a swimming pool that he basically couldn't afford it, but his annual Christmas bonus would cover the difference that he was basically missing. So he doesn't have any of it. He doesn't have any money, and he's just kind of like, shit, like I really need this check. So that's another theme that's kind of like that's throughout.
And this boss and the boss from Planes and Trains is kind of a similar. It's not the same at all. They're different characters, but it's like a similar idea where it's like the everyman working for the In that one, he's obviously waiting to leave for Thanksgiving, and this one he's waiting for his Christmas bonus.
He's waiting for the bonus.
But they're just both
bonus.
doing yes sir.
Like, yeah. So it's fine. Yeah. So he works. I guess I should have maybe mentioned some more background on it. So he works at it's basically like it's like a chemical. He does like some kind of marketing chemical.
He's making a non-nutritive cereal garnish.
Yeah.
Right?
It's basically so it would prevent milk from absorbing into cereal. Which is so
non-nutritive cereal garnish. That's what it is.
Which is so stupid.
Yeah, I don't know what I just said there. Sorry.
No, it's fine. So anyway, so now that kind of catches us up. So in all of this, he's now offering to pay for Christmas presents when he himself, like, he doesn't even have enough money to. He basically, you find out later, he writes a bad check, and didn't have enough money to cover what he wrote. So it's just kind of piling on throughout. So a little bit later, Clark's aunt and uncle, so Aunt Bethany and Uncle Lewis, arrive. So I guess this is now the dinner scene or whatever. So they're supposed to all be there for dinner. His aunt and uncle get there. They bring some gifts. They find out that they wrapped their cat as one of the presents. Their Jell-O mold. They put like Jell-O in a present, and it's really tough.
And Uncle Eddie licks Ellen's finger when she says, "Oh, look, what's in here?" And she rubs her finger on the edge of the package, and he goes, "Ooh."
And he's like,
"Taste it."
That there's Jell-O. Yeah. It's so stupid. So as something to note in this one, I just think this is really funny. So the Uncle Lewis, he has a really bad hairpiece on the whole time,
it's so
and
bad.
It keeps like falling off, and he has to keep readjusting it. But some of the lines that his Aunt Bethany says are hilarious because she's supposed to be like this senile old. Which actually, the actress who played her, just as a side note, this is the last role she played before she died, which is kind of sad. Sorry. Anyway, I don't know why you just said that. That's a bummer.
Yeah, when she shows up, she's like, "Why did you
guys
move I love that you guys moved." Or would you say like, "It's so great you moved to Florida."
Florida. It's the middle of winter.
She's like, "This house is bigger than the other one."
And she's like, "No, it's the same house." She's like, "You're not still dating that Clark, are you?" It's just like so many great lines. She gets in. She's like, "I just love driving in cars." You're like, "Oh, that's wild." So they end up, it is now dinner time. They have this great feast now that the whole family's there. There's this beautiful looking turkey that is presented that Catherine, Eddie's wife, cooks. They get ready to cut into it, and the whole turkey is just like a puff of like. It's because it's so dry.
Okay, so I was thinking about this when I was watching it.
Yeah.
In what world would you let somebody that was not she wasn't even an original guest to Christmas? She just showed up, and then she's in charge of the turkey.
Yeah,
like
I don't know.
the whole world.
I think they were supposed to cook the turkey, but Catherine, now that she was there, was like, "Oh, I'll cook it." Like I don't think they brought the turkey.
No, I know, I understand that they had a turkey before she came, but I'm just saying
you're
they're
saying,
like
why?
They're like, oh, you know what, Catherine, you should take all of the
batter
risk.
up.
Yeah,
That's true.
it's all
That
on
is
your
kinda
shoulders.
wild. That is really
Like
wild.
I'm sitting there, I'm like, I mean, they had a plan before, right? She was
Yeah.
gonna cook the turkey. It's probably gonna be fine.
Yeah, it would probably been great, but no, sucks. Yeah, that's very unfortunate. So this disastrous thing kind of puffs open, and it's just
God, it's so funny.
they're all like,
Clark's, it's just a little dry.
it's just a little dry.
I love this is another part where they're fucking
it's
all
like
eating
they're
turkey skin.
chomping on like leathery. It's just a bunch of like clink clanking around and slurping because everyone's just trying to choke down this turkey. So they have Jello. They have the green Jello, which the Aunt Bethany put catnip in it. I don't know if you picked up on that. There's like cat food in it.
Oh, that's what I
Yeah.
could tell something weird is in it. How did you know that was cat food? Did you just like pause it? Because I had no idea that's what.
No,
it was.
he says like, oh Jesus, she's like, what is this for the cat? And
he
you can
says,
see that
does your cat like Jello? Because
Yeah.
I thought she just meant that because the Jello was like half eaten.
Oh, maybe it was. I don't
Because
know.
maybe there is cat food in it.
That's why I always
the
thought
Jello.
there was cat
So
food.
I thought it was funny that he's licking the package of Jello, and then everybody's eating dinner, and the Jello's out, and the Jello is like half gone. It's like smashed, and she's like, Aunt Bethany, does your cat like Jello? And he's like, and then Eddie pipes in. He's like, oh, no, I'm sure as hell enjoying it. And he's like, oh, okay, cool, because it's like dessert.
Yeah, yeah. He's like fucking awesome.
He's like, sweet, yeah, you're eating this dry turkey and Jello.
Yeah.
I also like how there's sweet potato coming across, and he gets the scoop, and before he puts it on his,
he bites it.
takes a little bit of it. I'm like, so if you didn't like it, you're just gonna put it back?
Yeah, but I think it's also, we have to note that Eddie is wearing so he's wearing a white sweater with a black dickie under it, like the little turtleneck thing, and you can clearly see like the outline of like the little fake turtleneck thing that he's wearing.
Oh
under
yeah,
it. It's just his everything. So this was a fun fact about this one: the shoes that he's wearing in this movie, like those white shoes, the white and black shoes, those were the present. Do you remember in the first Vacation movie? Clark gives him shoes.
Oh,
because he was like, "You're not going to throw those shoes out, are you, Clark?" Like
that's
in the
right.
first one.
Because I'll be honest, when I was watching it this time again, when they're standing in there drinking the eggnog in the living room,
Yeah,
and he's wearing those shoes, I was like, damn, he's dressed real nice for somebody that just lost everything and is living in his RV.
those were those like obnoxious shoes that Clark gave him.
I
'cause he
actually
wanted to get rid of them.
I was actually at that Monster Con.
Yeah,
Somebody was selling Christmas Vacation memorabilia, and someone was selling signed Randy Quaid those shoes.
Oh, really?
For like $700 or something.
I mean, that
I was
would be
like,
cool.
dude,
But
they were also selling a signed Moose mug.
oh, really?
Yeah,
That's
I was
pretty
like, dude,
fun.
that would have been cool too. But
That's so much though.
the mug was like $100.
That's
Still.
getting there. It's
It's
closer.
but it's
to
just
where I
cool.
wanna
That
be. Yeah, I like that kind of stuff. But anyway, so dinner is going horribly. They finish up. The cat ends up separately kind of chewing through the lights. All the lights burn out. Clark goes to plug it in, and the cat is fried, just dead, electrocuted.
Yeah, he looks at
underneath
the plug,
chair.
and sees it's not plugged in. He's like, plugs it back in here.
Yeah.
All the power goes out.
And yeah, so that's awesome. So the cat's dead. They end up cleaning that up, and they go back. They take the chair out. There was like, the chair is fucked that the cat was under. They like pull it outside, and there's a great Eddie line. He's like, Clark, if you don't mind, I'd like to fumigate this here chair. That's a fine piece of furniture.
He's like, if you don't mind me asking, how much does put you back? And Clark's like,
Just
what
put
the
you
fuck?
back?
He's like, Eddie, what's that smell? He's like, oh, he's like, I forget, what does he say? And he's like, no, it smells like some gas coming from
Yeah, he says fried pussy cat.
Oh, fried pussy cat.
Yeah.
He's like, no, it smells like gas coming from the sewer. And then you look over, and it's like gurgling green coming
Yeah,
out of
and
the
there's
sewer.
like a gas leak. There's a gas fumes coming out of the sewer, which will play a pivotal role later on. So they're back inside. They're when the dog gets there, this is just funny to note. He's drinking out of the tree, and he's like, "Oh, like Eddie, get your dog out of there." And he's like, "No, the dog will be fine." And he's like, "No, the tree's gonna dry out." Like it's going to be bad. The tree's going to be dry if the dog keeps drinking the water. So in a later scene,
so
you see
that does play in.
The Uncle Lewis goes in the other room to smoke a cigar, and then you don't see this happen, but you just see a ball of flame shoot out, and you find out that Uncle Lewis burnt the tree down.
Yeah,
because
in one
so
it just lit his stogie and it just lit the whole tree up.
Whole tree is
obviously gone. A Christmas tree wouldn't get dry in under 24 hours from not getting water, but in this movie it did.
Yeah, it's
not. It didn't just like catch on fire and then slowly burn.
It went up,
eviscerated
in a second, and it's just pretty great. So at this scene, and then the squirrel is. I think we actually glossed over this. The squirrel is also in this whole dinner sequence as well, right?
Not yet. Because he has to go. So he burns down the tree. He's obviously pissed. This is where he starts losing his actual mind. He's like, "Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine."
I relate to this face though, where his eyes are big. And he's like, "Yeah, no, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Yeah,
I'm fine."
So before that happens, he actually, at the same time that all this is going on, the courier comes, like who has his bonus.
Well, no, that's after the whole squirrel.
Oh, that's after.
Yeah.
All right, here, you take it over then.
So he goes outside and he has to.
He's trying to replace the tree.
This is where he takes the chainsaw back out.
That's right.
Oh, did we miss so much little things?
Yeah, go talk about it then.
No, we'll come back. We'll come back.
All right,
because we're just rolling through here. So he goes outside and has the chainsaw out, and his wife's like, "Clark, put it away. Put it away." He's like. He starts it up and he just goes and just goes over and cuts down another tree outside.
Yeah,
and brings that in and puts that up, and then when that tree comes in, that's when the squirrel comes in with the tree.
Yeah.
So
he's like, "What's wrong, honey? We needed a tree. Problem solved.
Voila,
voila."
So they put the tree in, and then I forget what they're doing, but Aunt Bethany goes, "What's that funny?"
They're all just kind of they're all just hanging out. Sitting
they're just
there,
I think they're all just trying not to piss off Clark.
Yeah,
and they're like, "What's that? What's that noise? What's that funny squeaking sound?" And then he's like, "You're what does he say?"
He's like, "You couldn't hear a dump truck backing into a nitroglycerin."
Yeah, that's my favorite. That's one of my favorite lines.
Yeah, and so there ends up being a squirrel in the tree,
and it jumps
that he
out
brought in outside,
and then it causes the chaos.
Yeah.
And it's actually attached to Clark's back, and he doesn't know it. So everyone runs upstairs. Clark runs up after them. The dog runs up after them, and they all start running back down.
Yeah, because the squirrel's on him. And so they have it cornered in the living room. This is a great scene.
Oh, so the lead up to this is when he cut that tree down. The New Wave neighbors are eating dinner, and she's like, "Yeah, I feel bad. I know
that we didn't get a tree.
They're smelly and dirty and messy, but and then I wish we would have gotten a tree or whatever." And then Todd goes, "Yeah, where are we gonna get a tree at this hour on Christmas Eve?" And then all of a sudden, he's cutting the tree down, and
just crashes
blows through the window. So then this is where she's like, "I've had enough." She's like, "If you're not gonna be a man enough to do this, I am."
Yeah.
So she goes over to knock up on their door as all this is happening. So Clark finally sees the squirrel running and is going to open the door to let it out. The dog is also following the squirrel.
Yeah.
As he opens it, Margot is standing at the door about. Like her still knocking, door opens, you hear ah, and then the
dog just attacks.
The squirrel latches onto her neck, and then the dog knocks her over, and he's just like, "Oh, okay," closes the door.
All right, closes the door.
He just says, "Gone."
There's a really
the squirrel is gone.
There's a great line when he's like when they're thinking about like, "Oh, what are we gonna do with this? Like, how are we gonna get the squirrel?" Clark takes off his jacket, and his wife goes, "What are you gonna do with that?" He goes, "I'm gonna catch it in the coat. Smack it with a hammer."
He's like, "Russ, get my hammer."
Russ, get my hammer. I'm gonna put it in the coat.
Everyone's
smack
like,
it with a hammer.
Oh.
Just that's like I feel like that is such like a dad being like, "I'm gonna throw it, catch it in the coat, hit it with a hammer, no more squirrel."
Doesn't her mom faint when he says that?
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh."
It's just so stupid.
So where are we? So we've got the new tree. We've got Clark saying unhinged things like. Oh, because this is where she's like, Ellen's like, Clark, I think everyone's just gonna leave. He's like, oh no, we're all staying.
Yeah, he's like, we're all. This is where he says that famous line. He's like, we're gonna have the jolliest Christmas. It's Bing Crosby tap dance with who is it?
Oh my God,
you don't have the line. So if you look up the line, there's another scene that I'm gonna talk about. So, also at this point, he is. Oh man, I just completely lost my train of thought. That's a bummer. So the tree, chaos.
Oh, then he says, "If anyone has any gift ideas for me,
Yeah.
Oh, like Frank Shirley, my
no,
boss.
he didn't. Not yet. So this is when the courier comes to the door.
Oh, yeah. We missed the whole.
So we missed
Yep,
that
go ahead,
scene.
You go ahead.
Wow, we are butchering this whole scene.
That's okay.
What are you gonna do? So after all this stuff, it's kind of quieted down a little bit. The courier comes to the door and basically says, like, I had this letter for you. It dropped in my truck. I'm really sorry. And it ends up being his bonus. And so he was like, apologizes, and he's like, I'm sorry, I was being really short with everyone. Like, I just, I really needed this. He tells them that he's going to buy them a swimming pool. Everyone's really excited. And then he opens it up to reveal that it is the Jelly of the Month Club and not 1 year to the Jelly of the Month Club.
And then Eddie says,
he's like,
hey, Clark, that's the gift that keeps on giving.
And so Eddie's...
But I also like that when he says all this, he tells them how much money it is. First of all, I would have done this. I mean, it's a movie, so he had to do it this way. But I would have done this. Like, I would have gotten it, opened it up, and then been like, okay, $20,000 or whatever the hell money he thought he was getting.
Yeah.
It's going towards this pool. Not like, okay, guys, let me reveal this letter in front of the whole...
that would have been wild.
And then he says, yeah, if there's money left over, I'm going to fly each and every one of you down to
dedicate it.
And I'm like, so you had such a bang-up time at Christmas. You're like, let's do this again in the summer.
Yeah, that's... honestly, that's... So he ends up freaking out, and he says, like, oh, if anyone needs any last-minute Christmas ideas, I'd like my boss right here. And tell him what a... Do you have the quote?
Oh, I mean, do you want the whole quote?
Yeah, we got to do the whole quote.
But yeah, he's like, I would like my boss right here tonight, under here with a
big
bow on his head, and you can tell Eddie's like, oh, bet, okay,
yeah.
And he's like, and I want to look him straight in the eye, and I want to tell him what a cheap, lying, no good, rotten, four-flushing, low-life, snake-licking, dirt-eating, inbred, overstuffed, ignorant, blood-sucking, dog-kissing, brainless, dickless, hopeless, heartless, fat-ass, bug-eyed, stiff-legged, spotty-lipped, worm-headed sack of monkey shit he is. Hallelujah. Holy shit, where's the Tylenol?
Yeah, he just walks, holy shit, where's the Tylenol?
And I was fucking dying. And I've tried so hard to memorize that, like, my whole life. And I've gotten parts of it, but I can never remember the whole thing.
It's very involved.
But it's funny because that's also, I feel like it's a really similar, it's not the same at all, but in Home Alone,
yeah,
the Angels with Dirty Faces,
yeah,
where he's like, I'll give you 5 minutes to get your low life.
Four flushing sack it. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I feel like, I don't know, John, he's just the man.
It is very, very common.
That one line insult, like I don't even know how, I don't know what was improvised or not. I didn't even look that up.
I don't know. That was impressive though, that he just could just like, even just recording it. That's pretty wild that he was able to do that.
I want to believe that he actually ran out of breath and needed Tylenol.
Yeah. So basically taking Clark's request literally, Eddie just kind of leaves the house. Like you notice that he's kind of thinking about something, and then he leaves.
And then you have your heartfelt moment with Clark and his dad. You know, John Hughes always has a heartfelt moment.
Yeah.
And
so he's trying to pick up. Oh, yeah. If you want to.
I was just gonna say, we were talking about how the music changes, and then there's always that one moment in the movie where it's like, okay.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. He's like, Dad, how did you do it before? Like, how did you do all your holidays? All your holidays were crazy. And he's like, yeah, I had a lot of help from Jack Daniels.
Yeah, from my friend Jack Daniels.
And then he's like, okay. And then he's like, you want to do the night before Christmas? And he's like, no, this is your Christmas, Clark. You got to do it. So
yeah,
you have the next scene is him doing the night before Christmas.
Yeah,
you know, everyone's like, the music's nice, silent. Everyone's just like gathered around.
It seems like things have finally calmed down.
But
for him.
It keeps being interspliced by shots of Eddie's van driving somewhere, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
no.
And you're like, this isn't good. But let's just go back to the normal.
So while everything's resolved, at least as far as the Griswold family can be on Christmas, Eddie is actually kidnapping his boss, putting a bow on his head, and delivering him just where Clark had asked him to.
There's a really funny... So he's reading The Nightmare Before Christmas, and he's like, and all through the night, it was... And then he looks up and he goes, Eddie? Like, with it... Who is that?
Eddie with my boss tied up. And I love when he's walking him up to the house, he kicks him in the butt.
He kicks his butt. Yeah. It's so stupid. So he kidnaps him. He's there, and basically he ends up saying like, oh, you're like Griswold, you're done. Like, I'm gonna sue your whole family. Like, yada yada yada. And he's like, no, you're right. Like, I may have done, like, this might be bad, but it's not even close to the shit that you pulled. Like, people rely on these bonuses. Like, you kind of screwed us all. There's a jelly of the month.
It's like, you could have told us we weren't getting a bonus.
Yeah, he's like, when people, I think the line is basically like, when people start to depend on this as part of their salary, like, that's really crappy to do. And I think you can kind of see that the boss is like, ah, shit, maybe he was right.
He's like, whatever you got last year, add 20%.
Well, no, so before that happens, the SWAT team comes in.
Well, no, he says the 20%, and then everyone's like happy. And then that's what
is that,
everyone's
you're right.
oh my god,
yeah, like
everyone's like
shit.
freaking out and so happy because he's like they've resolved it as their group.
Yeah,
and
he's
then,
like, oh my god, I'm gonna be a millionaire.
And then you see all the SWAT cars coming, and you're like, oh no, and the music's going, and you're like, oh no,
yeah.
And then they start coming in like ninjas through the windows.
Yeah, and his wife, his boss's wife, is basically like organized all of it. So she comes in and he's like, no, everyone, it's just a misunderstanding. Like what I did to Clark and his family was wrong. Like I tried to, maybe toyed with the idea of cutting bonuses, and his wife's like, ow,
you didn't.
But when they, like, no, I did.
When they first roll in and the family's just like shocked.
Yeah.
The lead officer says, freeze. And then his officers behind him freeze. He's like, not you.
Yeah.
And then this part, and I forget where I read this or heard this, but this part was improvised where Clark is frozen.
Yeah. Like, and Beverly has her,
and Beverly like has her hand on his
crotch.
Supposedly, like that just happened. So she just froze. Like I don't know if I think like, she improvised that.
Yeah.
And
I think she thought it would be funny, which it was funny. Like I don't know. I thought that was really.
And then so he's like, freeze, and he starts talking. He says, I said freeze. He's like, what do you say? Can we breathe?
Yeah, something like that.
Or no, can I blink?
Can I blink? Yeah.
So then the wife comes over and says, "You didn't." And then when she meets him, or she meets the family,
yeah,
she unholsters
his package,
shakes her hand, and then puts it right back. And the noise you hear is like
it's like a. That is really funny,
dude. I like that. You can't make that. Like,
there was also another scene that this one always like catches me off guard. So when he comes in and basically reveals like when his wife is like, "You didn't," and he's like, I was toying with the idea of cutting Christmas bonuses. Did you hear what the police officer said? He's like, man, if I had a rubber hose, I would beat you. And he's like, no, everyone. And you're like, what?
Yeah, the rubber hose, dude.
If I had a rubber hose, I would beat you.
As opposed to what other kind of hose?
I don't know.
I think the fact that he says rubber hose though makes it sound much funnier.
It's so unexpected. But anyway, so the family they have resolved their issues. They end up going outside to basically like let everyone go home. They see something in the distance. They believe it is Santa Claus in the distance. And Clark's like, no, it's the Christmas star. Like, that's what it's all about. Like, being here, as crazy it is, like, we're a family. And that's all that really matters, basically. In, like, a very, Clark's like, yeah, I did learn something. At the same time, Uncle Lewis is like, he's like, that light's coming from the sewage plant. It's like fumes.
And then he remembers the fumes, or the gas he smelled, and he sees Lewis about to light his patent stogie again. He's like, no, don't drop that. And he drops it.
And blows up. And the Santa that he had on his lawn is now flying through the air. And Aunt Bethany starts singing the Star Spangled Banner.
Oh, yeah. So at dinner, she did the Pledge of Allegiance.
Grace.
As she's trying to get him to do grace. The blessing.
Grace died 6 years ago.
No, the blessing. She goes,
blessing.
I pledge allegiance to the flag. And everyone lets her go.
Up.
Eddie stands up, and then they say amen. But this time, she does the Star Spangled Banner, and they all join in.
Yeah.
And it's so awesome.
So
you just got to
just let her go.
You got to let her go.
Well, there's a line that Beverly says, like the wife says somewhere, and she's like, it might be her last Christmas. Like, just let her have it. And like, so they end up all going inside, and they basically just decide to have a big blowout with the whole SWAT team.
And then they're having a blowout, and then Clark and Beverly finally get their actual like romantic Christmas kiss.
Yeah, and she's like, "You did it, Sparky." And then that's the end of the movie, and then it's the Christmas vacation.
All right, so I have that line there.
Yeah,
it's like we're gonna
wait. What was the line?
The Bing Crosby one.
Oh yeah,
we're gonna press on. We're gonna press on, and we're gonna have the happiest Christmas since Bing Crosby tap dance with Danny fucking K. And there's your one F word for PG-13.
Yeah, so that was White Christmas. If for anyone who didn't know, that's what he was referencing in that line.
And when Santa squeezes his fat white ass down that chimney tonight, he's gonna find the jolliest bunch of assholes this side of the nut house. That's where he's officially lost it.
Yeah, that's where he's done.
And so they're watching White Christmas at one point, but they're also watching It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah. Every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings. I hate that line, and I hate that girl, and I'm just gonna say it.
What do you have? No heart? That movie is awesome.
Nah, I'm just kidding. I just like to be a curmudgeon.
Wait, do you actually not like that?
I've actually never seen that movie.
Oh, dude, put it on this year. That's a Christmas movie to watch.
Yeah, I know it's one of the ones that you're like supposed to watch.
Oh, dude, I don't know. Like everyone's like, oh, you gotta watch the old ones. They're the best ones. But dude, I'm telling you, it's so good. Like,
We went on last year. We did like a run of the older Christmas movies, like White Christmas and stuff like that. I was actually shocked at how good they were.
It's good. That one's good. But I don't watch too many of them. But the one I do really like is It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah,
it's just wait. You're once you watch it.
Well, I mean, it's
once,
basically like the dude would find out how much worse off the world would be without him, basically.
Yeah. And then they made a horror movie this year called It's a Wonderful Knife. Same idea, where this girl, basically this killer kills a bunch of people in the town, and then she's like, well, I bet this world will be better off without me. So then they find out that like instead of 4 people dying, like the death count's up to like 27, and nobody knows who she is, and she's like doing the same kind of plot. My friend Jack said that he liked it. I thought it was a pile of dog shit, but
pile of horse poop.
It is. It is what it is. Anyways,
so there was a couple scenes that we didn't talk about. I think I just wanted to like get through all the main.
Yeah, we got to go back.
The sledding scene.
Oh yeah.
So there's a scene they kind of spliced in a couple different I think they were just filler scenes is really what it was. And basically, so the one scene they're going sledding, and Clark has the patented metal saucer, and he's basically describing that product that we talk about, where it was like, it's basically so that water won't seep or milk won't seep into cereal.
I put it on cereal, but we can put it on this sled too. It's fine.
And he's like, has anyone ever tried that? And he's like, no, I don't think so, Russ. And so he's putting it on there, and then he basically just like, what's the line that he says to Eddie? He's like, Eddie, he's like, better hold off on mine, Clark.
He's like, don't be putting none of that stuff on my sled, Clark. You know that metal plate in my head? I had to get it replaced. Every time Catherine revved up the microwave, I'd piss my pants and forget who I was for half an hour or so.
He's like, don't trust it. He's like, I don't need to be going down with a piece of government plastic protecting me and my all that's protected my brain from.
And he says back to him, you really think it matters, Eddie?
You really think it matters, Eddie? That's funny. He's like, well, you see, the plate falls where my part is. So if I dented that, my hair would just be all over the place.
Oh yeah. So he's like, this side, that'd be fine. He's like, this side.
He's like, I dent that. That's where my part lies. It's so stupid.
And he proceeds to hit the fastest sledding I've ever seen, and it goes on for like a solid minute.
Well, he's just it's just so funny. What were some other scenes that you wanted to talk about?
So back closer to the beginning, the scene where he's at his office, and Frank Shirley's his boss, and they're all walking. He walks by, he gets his name wrong, I think, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I need you." Basically, I need the TPS reports. He's like, basically, I need a summary of that product you're doing for this board meeting. He's like, okay, and then as him and all the execs are walking by, he's like, "Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, kiss his ass." No, kiss my ass, kiss his ass, kiss your ass, Happy Hanukkah. And it's just like, it's so dumb, and he's sitting there drinking out of his Tasmanian devil mug, and I'm like, dude, this is the really scenes like this, like the interspliced little scenes are hilarious.
They really
and then you have the first shopping scene where he goes right from
they're
work.
They're trying to do some Christmas shopping.
He goes right from work to find something for his wife, and he gets to the lingerie stand. Yeah. And that whole scene where he's like, oh, wouldn't be the Christmas time if it wasn't any hotter than it is in here right now. She's like,
so there's like a really hot girl working at like this lingerie stand.
Whoa. Can you say that?
Why am I not allowed to say that?
Okay.
There's this.
We'll see what Emily says about it. It's fine.
That's fine.
Olivia, if you're listening, Nick said that, not me.
There's this.
No, she is. She's like, obviously,
Keith,
like.
Why are you sweating right now?
She's like, her name's Mary.
Yeah. So she's working at this stand, and Clark is just like, he's just doesn't know what to do with himself. Basically.
Yeah, and he doesn't know that he can just say, yeah, I have a wife and I'm looking for lingerie. But obviously I have no chance with an actual. She's like a supermodel. Yeah. And he has no chance of talking to her, but he's like, yeah. She's like, is it for your wife or your girlfriend? And he's like,
oh no, I don't have a wife.
She's like, yeah, I'm actually here shopping for my wife, God rest her soul. She's like, oh, I'm so sorry. He's like, oh no, she's not dead. She's just divorced. She's long gone.
she's history.
She's history. Oh, she's history. That's what
she's history.
And then she's like, yeah. So she's like, you sure there's nothing And what is she? He says like,
oh,
this
he
is time to be-
says there. She was like, is there anything I can pull out for you? And he's like, oh.
But then he says something like, "This is the
So
time.
he's like,
this is the time."
It's the best time of year, to gather around the Yule log. I mean, not that I have a log. You know,
He's like, if I did have a log, I don't have a log, but if I did,
it's
not that kind of log you're thinking of.
not that kind of log you're.
But then he
thinking
ends
of,
up saying something like, "This is the time to be merry," right? And she goes, "Oh, that's my name." He's like,
No
"No
shit."
shit." And then so he's still like sweating, literally sweating in his coat. She's
well,
like,
the next scene is she's like, yeah, and look, you can see how these don't leave any panty lines.
He's
Like,
like-
she pulls up. She basically is like, I think she knows that he's like,
yeah, she's like, oh, I'm gonna sell.
I'm gonna sell something.
I'm
to
gonna
this
sell
guy.
something to this guy.
And at the same time, Russ walks up and he goes, "See, Russ, no lines."
I love that scene.
Its whole interaction is just gold.
And then I really like the part where everyone's getting ready to go shopping in the morning after the family's there.
Yeah.
And he lets down the attic steps and they blast him in the face. And then he goes up there, and then then Ellen's mom walks by and she's like, whew,
Yeah.
freezing, and she just closes him up there. And then in that 30 seconds that happened, everyone's in the car packed and ready to go.
Everyone's done.
They're gone. They leave without him, and he's stuck in his pajamas up there.
Yeah.
He was going to put up. So what?
He was going to hide the presents. He
Hide the
basically had
presents,
like
yeah.
a little crawl space area.
But then he also pulls out a funny present that he forgot about. It's like
it was a Mother's Day.
Mother's Day
one.
one, yeah. That he just had forgot. He like blows off the dust on. He's like, oh shit.
It's like, well, nice.
So then he has to
So
watch
he-
home videos upstairs
yeah.
on his projector.
But I think this is a really nice scene. Like, as funny as the scene is, like where he's walking like in between the rafters and the boards are hitting him. It is a really nice scene because you actually see that like he's looking at the old family videos, and it's old like Christmas videos of like when he was a kid, and you can tell that like it really meant a lot to him. To like it was a
Yeah.
very special time for him. So I think that scene kind of like humanizes him a little bit. Like he's not just like the bumbling like, oh, everything's perfect kind of guy. Which I don't know. I just like that scene. And he's wearing the funny little hat and the gloves and stuff like that.
Yeah. And then eventually he steps on the floorboard, smashes his face, and then falls through his son's bunk bed, where the night before the grandfather was just looking straight up at the model.
Yeah,
Oh
that
my
was on
God.
there. There's
All
so
the
many
little
roles,
things
yeah.
would just kill me.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, the classic line of it's the next morning after Eddie gets there and he's emptying his porta
I was
potty,
gonna go there. Yep.
his RV bathroom into the sewer. And he goes, he reaches out and he goes, "Shitter was full."
He's like, "You hear that, honey? His shitter's full."
Hey, yeah, you hear that, honey? Shitter's full. That's so good.
And then the one scene I remember as a kid, because it's, bada bada bing. But when he's outside, it's at night, and he's looking out the back, imagining his pool, and the whole family's out there. Eddie's there with his hat on, everyone's jumping off, and then he keeps dreaming, and all of a sudden the model is
From
there
the store,
from the store, is in her little red bikini or little red one piece,
Yeah.
and it's just now him staring at her on the diving board, and she
It's
drops.
like motioning, yeah.
She takes her little one piece off and is motioning him to come out, and then all of a sudden Ruby Sue interrupts his little dream.
He's like, ah.
Ah!
So
Why aren't you in bed?
That's a really great one too. When the daughter, the interaction between, so after he's like, all hot and bothered at the window, she's like, "Uncle Clark, are you Santa?" And he's like, "No, I'm not Santa, but like he's out there, like I know it." And the girl goes on to say, like, this is the scene before Eddie asks Clark to like buy them presents, basically. She says that like, yeah, last year we didn't get anything, like we're all really nervous Clark says like, "Oh, and how about your brother? Is he nervous like this year?" She's like, "He's shitting bricks." He's like, you shouldn't say that. And he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. He's shitting rocks." It's just a great line. This whole movie is gold, though. Everything about it is really, even the little animated intro of like.
Oh yeah,
Santa
I
Claus,
wanted to go over that too, because it starts with that whole. I love the animated intro with the
with
Santa.
the little Santa.
I love when he takes the when he rides the lights.
He's like,
Yeah.
he's like knocking them all off. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then the scene where it's part of the light setting scene where he's hanging on the gutter.
Yeah.
And he rips the gutter off, and a huge icicle goes flying through Margot's
The new wave
neighbor's window and just smashes their CD player.
Yeah. It's like, well, something had to. It's like later that night.
Why is the carpet wet, Todd? I don't know, Margot.
Margot.
That part always. I say that a lot too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, Margot. Nobody knows usually what I'm talking about because they're like, "What the fuck? Are you? I'm not Margot."
Well, Em and I say that. We say that line all the
Margot.
time. Like if I'm like, oh hey, do you know where do you know where this thing should be? Like, I don't know, Todd.
Why is the carpet wet, Todd? I don't know, Margot.
So we do and in my family every year we do we have it. We actually are not doing it this year, but we do what we call the Christmas tree crawl. So we have like all my family lives really close to each other, so we go to everyone's house to decorate all their trees. Like we just go from one house, like it's a big family, all decorate our trees. We already decorate ours because we live a little bit further away, but. The one year, all of us, my sister made us all shirts with quotes from this movie on it. And I think,
that's funny.
Mine, it's upstairs, but it's a jar of jelly, and it said "Jelly of the Month" recipient. And so I think Emily's said it was like the jolliest bunch of assholes this side of the nut house or something. But one of them, it was my brother and his now wife. One said, "I don't know, Margot," or "I don't know," or "Why is the carpet wet, Todd?" And then his said, "I don't know, Margot."
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so we always that's good times.
Yeah, because I feel like your brother, I wouldn't say they're like he's a new wave guy, but he's like definitely like younger.
He's kind of cool. Yeah.
Cool dude.
Pretty cool guy.
But I mean, he likes Christmas though, so he's not. I'm not saying he's like that.
I would say he's closer to Clark Griswold than I am in terms of his joy of Christmas. But I love Christmas. But I think the cluelessness I more relate to. That's wild. But anyway, all right. Do you have anything else for this one? I think we've certainly overstayed our welcome.
Oh, we have overstayed our welcome by far. Dude, is there any? I feel like there was a couple other. Oh, I like the line where he's like, "Oh, Ed," him and Eddie are standing by the tree drinking their eggnog out of their mugs.
Yeah.
And Eddie obviously ruins that whatever that spinning wooden toy that he has out of this. He just puts his hand down and ruins that instantly. And then Clark's like, can I get you any more eggnog, something to eat? Drive you out in the middle of nowhere and leave you for dead. And then when he first shows up, Eddie says to him, he's like, "Oh, you surprised to see me?" He's like, "I couldn't have been more surprised if I woke up and my head was sewn to the carpet." It's just so many like stupid one-line things that happen. I'm sure
his delivery is what we said this when we did was it Caddyshack, but his delivery is just like it's unreal. Oh, good times. But that's all. I think that's all I had. I didn't really even have any fun facts for this one. I think this movie kind of stands on its own.
Yeah, this is definitely I watch this every year. This is my favorite Christmas movie.
Yeah,
it's up there. Home Alone 1 and 2. 2 was actually my favorite as a kid because I had it on VHS. I watched it incessantly.
Yeah,
Christmas or not, I'd watch it all the time.
Yeah,
but the Home Alone movies and this, and then Jingle All the Way. Because Christmas Story I really like, but it's not my top. It's like a top 10, top 5 probably, but not. Like, everyone's like, "Oh, I watched Christmas Story 30 times this year." And I'm like, yeah, I'd rather die.
You're like, yeah, we get it.
We get it, dude.
You like Christmas.
We get it, dude. You got your little pink bunny costume. Don't shoot your eye out. We fucking get it. No, it is a good movie, though.
That's
it's like
wild.
Pretty classic movie. But
yeah.
Anyways, on that note.
So what do you think? You want to give us a quote to, how about you give us a quote to ring in the
Which one did you
episode?
like the best? I think the
Shitter's Full.
Shitter's Full.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. It's your quote.
I think the Hallelujah, holy shit, where's the Tylenol is awesome. But why don't we leave with this? When Santa squeezes his fat white ass down that chimney tonight, he's gonna find the jolliest bunch of assholes this side of the nut house.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Until next time.